to LHN Volleyball presented by Wells Fargo. We're at the Frank Irwin Center in Austin, Texas for night number 2, game number 2 of this back-to-back Big 12 format. In the 2020 season, the number 1 team in the country, the Texas Longhorns, 3-0 on the season, hosting Kansas at 1-2. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Tyler Denning, Salima Rockwell. The name of the game this season, adjustments. We've made one ourselves here. We're closer than we were last night. But based on the result that we saw, Texas straight sets, what adjustments do you expect here in night number 2?
Well, you know, there's a few things that both teams can do to have success this evening. And for Texas, it's really staying steady and calm throughout the entire match. Keeping Kansas from going on serving runs, because that's what happened last night. They got them into a little bit of trouble. And for Kansas, really, it's being smart with their swings, hitting high off the block, tooling and going deep, and avoiding that huge Texas block. That's the name of the game. And Texas blocking was on fire last night. It was that huge block that gave Kansas fits, and led by Breon Butler. And this is the very reason that they're one of the best blocking teams, not just in the conference, but in the country as well. And for Kansas, they played some fantastic defense, both at the net and on the floor defensively as well. So they need to sustain this level of play, blocking, defense, if they're going to want to grab a win tonight from Texas.
Kansas had opportunities in sets 1 and 3, but just some pivotal errors led to be the difference for Texas in the victory as we look at the impact players for tonight's match.
For Kansas, their impact player is Aya El Nade. She's a freshman outside hitter from Cairo, Egypt, that is smart. She's explosive, and she has poise and confidence of a senior. And for Texas, it's Skylar Fields, your 2019 Big 12 Freshman of the Year, that switched positions from the opposite to the outside this year, and second in kills and kills per set.
Texas, straight sets last night, game number 2, match number 2, Longhorns, Jayhawks when we come. Gorgeous night in the capital city here in Central Texas. We're just right there, north side of the shot, the Irwin Center. Kansas led by Ray Bouchard, 23rd season as the head coach at Kansas, 398 wins for the 4-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. Last time it happened was in 2016. Had that great run in 2015 where they were national semifinalists. In 16, they won the Big 12 Conference. Texas, Jarrett Elliott at the helm, 20 seasons, 478 career wins here at the University of Texas, approaching that 500 career win mark. Has an uber talented team that is off to a perfect 3-0 start. The result last night, 25-22, 25-19, 25-22. Mentioned those pivotal service errors in that first set. It had gone 23-22. Kansas had the ball. They were serving. They had an error. So Kansas had opportunities last night.
You know, there's always opportunities, and you hate to say that serve or that was the reason you lost the match. But at the same time, when you're given that opportunity, you want to seize it. So if they can play at a little bit higher level for an extended period of time, that's going to make the difference.
Texas will put Gabriel, O'Neal, Butler, Yosia, Phillips, Eggleston, and O'Brien on the floor to start. As another new wrinkle for this season, teams did not switch sides last night after each set, but they have switched sides going a different way tonight.
Yeah, that threw me off a little bit yesterday. I was like, what's everybody doing?
Texas wore the white last night, burnt orange tonight. So O'Brien with the ace. Graduate transfer from Illinois. Grew up in Libertyville. Donning that black Libro jersey. Really helping provide some depth, some experience, leadership as well for this Texas squad. Just between her and Ashley Shook are your senior graduates, so Texas with only really one true senior on this roster. Texas dominating this series all time, 46 wins, just 6 losses. They've won the last 17 here at home. That being in Austin, this their temporary home, the Irwin Center. What'd you think? Initial impressions last night, first time in here calling a game, watching a match?
You know, it was different. It was weird spatially for me, but different than Gregory. But I liked it. I thought it was still an entertaining match, and it didn't make that huge of a difference.
Well, you got the primo vantage point tonight. We've switched spots. Wanted to make sure you got the action. Is Texas out to an early 4-2 advantage.
And you're going to see just from last night, both teams scouting already, watching film, going back, taking a look, what were they doing passing-wise, and they're going to be a little more specific and targeted tonight with their serving and what they want to do defensively. You
saw just there individually, Logan Eggleston led all players with 16 kills. He's led the Longhorns in every match kill-wise. So we see some Texas defense there. Asia O'Neal. It's a new wrinkle for Texas as well. Sydney Peterson, she was the libero all season last year, but has transitioned over to playing a role as a defensive specialist. You see the dump on the Kansas side, and that's something to keep an eye on their side of the net. Who's at the center position right now? Elsie McGee, number 12, you see going back to serve.
Yeah, she played last night. She came in and gave the starting setter a little bit of a spell and then did a really nice job. She comes out with a lot of confidence and just knows how to play the game. So it looks like Coach Bouchard wants to give her a go right now.
O'Neal off the Kansas block.
A perfect pass that allows that to happen. O'Neal, smart swing. She has a double block. Kansas in the right spot, sending 2 blockers with her on the perfect pass, but she's able to tool off the edge of the block to get a kill.
Okay, so we talked a lot last night about Texas passing. Scale of 0 to 10, where would you evaluate Texas's passing last night?
You always ask me the hard ones. I would say they're at a 7. You know, it was
pretty good.
6. You know, 7. They were pretty good. It was just runs.
Yep.
They were good for the most part, and then it was 2, 3, 4 points, and that's what caught them. That's what got them in trouble.
Didn't really see any big runs from Texas either on both sides. It was just Texas with about a 3 to 5 point advantage outside of that third set where Kansas went on their long run. So the Jayhawks were right there, but another good swing from Texas as the dig goes out of bounds.
And Texas in a much better position here, passing the ball perfectly. You see Gabriel take a look at the block. I love that. She just glances over, sees the block, scheme, and sets the ball outside.
One thing Texas has to like, their staff siding out 80% early on, but giving that one back on the service air. Caroline Crawford, one of that big freshman, 10 freshmen on this Kansas roster.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to manage. It's a lot to lead. A lot of new people on this Kansas team, but they're doing a fantastic job. Coach Bouchard said earlier, at one point we looked out there and there were 5 freshmen on the floor. And we're like, what are we doing? But it's great. They're playing well.
Trying for the impact player, Alnade. Texas goes to Phillips, but Kansas block. Another thing we saw last night that was pretty impressive. Didn't expect their block to be as stout as it was.
You know, and the block is solid, but I was super impressed with the scouting. They knew where the ball was going, and so they were able to scheme. They were able to say, we serve this person, we know where they're going to go with the ball, and that's exactly what they did last night. But the ability to execute is a big deal as well. So Kansas with the players that can actually do it.
Kennedy Ferris served for Kansas. Texas trying that right side. Back row from Eggleston.
And I love this little wrinkle as well, where they run this play off kind of right in the middle between the D-ball and the pipe, where she's just in that seam where there's no block. So it's a nice run by Texas on a perfect pass where they're not expecting her to come out of that position in the back row.
Great start for the junior Two-time All-American from Brentwood, Tennessee. Already once named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. Second-team All-American player last year. Little miscommunication there. What'd you see?
Ball was a little bit tight, a little low, and a little bit tight to the net. But I tell you, I like Langs just hung tight, and she was there, pressed over the net, didn't make a net error or anything, just knew where the ball was going and was able to block the ball.
El Nade will serve, the freshman from Cairo, Egypt. Beautiful up by Ferris. There again.
So you watch Ferris come in here out of the back row and just lays out with one hand. And then she had another dig right after that. Kept this play going and allowed Kansas to score.
Another underclassman sophomore from Leavenworth, Kansas. Kennedy Ferris. Trying to find that connection to the left side.
Again, Kansas doing a nice job with even their block touches, slowing the ball down, allowing them to play defense. Just need to control the ball and limit your errors.
It's number 7 in white and blue that makes things go. Jenny Mosier, graduate transfer from UCLA. She was the Jayhawks leader in swings and kills in the match last night, 15.
I love that tip. And it's so hard to defend that ball because they're tipping from such a high angle. They're not looping it nice and slow. She's slow. She's right over the top of the ball block, and that's hard to play.
Both coaches talked about that experience from the first weekend, adjusting from night number 1 to night number 2. It's a unique wrinkle. Teams used to playing 2 days in a row, tournament time, early season, but not so much used to playing a conference foe that knows what you're trying to do.
Well, and it's so funny because the coaches know one another, and then they're trying to guess, okay, how are they going to adjust? And then how are we going to adjust to that? So it's really interesting to watch kind of the chess game that goes on for this back-to-back matches.
Well, you take me to your mind as a coach and as a player. You usually want to say, let's just control what we can on our side of the net.
Well, and that's generally speaking, that's what you want to do. But if there are glaring things that you see stick out over and over and over again, or places you can exploit over and over again, that's what you want to do. So you focus on your side, and then it's called squeezing points, as many little points as you can get.
One thing that Texas is doing great right now, Eggleston 5 kills, 7 swings. It's off to a great start.
Nice finish at the net by Kansas.
Both teams able to side out quickly. Prevented any long run thus far. Texas up by 2. Nagita Mosier, Jenna Gabriel, and Asia O'Neill. We saw a very nice play from Gabriel, reminiscent of the block she had last night right there.
Well, and that's it. They're in a good position. They're lined up nicely. If you see this, her right hand is where the ball needs to be, and O'Neill is able to close the block so there's no holes in it, and they can stuff the ball.
O'Brien there for Texas. Skylar Fields. That ball thought was up just for a moment, but Fields onto the board with her second kill.
Yeah, and this is something that they definitely scouted. So Kansas back on their heels, ready for the big swings, ready for the balls off the top of the block. So now they're just dropping balls right over the top.
Eggleston to serve. But once again, Kansas able to squeeze a point, right?
Squeeze them.
That's what you said.
Say. Yeah, I mean, that's what you do. There's little plays, little points that you can get.
Mosier to serve. And there's the big swing. So you go with finesse, go with power there. So Skylar Fields heating up, 3 kills to go with Eggleston's 5. Texas leading by 4.
Perfect passes where you're going to see Kansas have a hard time closing the block, and that's what they want to do, is put themselves in a position so they can set anybody across the length of the net. Another perfect pass here in that back row attack, and that's what's going to be the key to their success tonight.
It's a perfect pass right over to me. Usually it's the other way around. Gabriel has 8 assists thus far here at the Frank Irwin Center. Texas hadn't played in this venue since 1997. We joked about it last night. Probably most of the players on the roster were not born then.
Yeah, no, they weren't.
Usually accustomed to having such a great environment, home crowd at Gregory Gymnasium, but 1,500 fans, the limit that is allowed here in the Irwin Center, that allotted for all of the season ticket holders and then friends and family of both programs. So you see a little bit of Jayhawk supporters mixed in.
A smattering.
Trying their best, the Texas staff, to do this safely so fans can come watch some volleyball, and we can be here courtside to give you the action as El Nade rips on that ball.
And that's what I love about her game. Like, you know, we talked about this last night a little bit. She's not just swinging blindly into the block. That's a high, deep swing in the last third of the court.
Standing at 5'10", and I'll take a Texas reference, who I see in her game, maybe a little Amy Neal.
Oh yeah, I like it, yeah. I think she's a lot like Amy Neal. She can handle the ball, she's explosive, undersized for an outside, but can play the game at this level.
Texas with a 5-point advantage, hitting 273. What are you seeing from the Kansas setters? Obviously, that 6'2", 2 setters that they're moving in and out. What's the good, and maybe some things that they need improvement from their setters thus far?
Well, I think they're doing a nice job of distributing the ball whenever they can. Whenever the ball's where they want it to be, they're moving the ball around, not just left pin heavy right now. And so that's what they need to do. Because last night, I mean, Mosier had all their swings, a million swings. If they can spread it around, that's going to be huge for them.
Going the way of El Nade out on that left side. Off the tips. Now a team high 3 kills.
And really just delaying her swing a little bit, kind of hitting a little bit on the way down so she could tool off the edge of the block.
Phillips trying to roll, but long past the baseline. And this really the same story of the 3 sets that we've seen already played. It looks like Texas about to really open it up, and Kansas finds a way.
So they had to stack their hitters again. They were moving for passing wise and had Phillips on the left. Now they put Skylar back on the left, on the right.
There's a 3-0 scoring run for the Jayhawks, but that broken as Gabriel goes in the middle for Breon Butler.
And again, that's what they need to do. Figure out their passing patterns, know their best swings, who they want to set all the time, and when they get stuck in a rotation or they feel like they're caught, they need to make that adjustment quickly.
Nalani Yosia, freshman from Torrance, California, to serve. She's got this big jump serve. If you didn't get to see it last night, check it out here. I think by the reaction, Texas was pretty convinced that they scored that point off the block.
They're both going back to serve, so.
That's always awkward. Point went to Kansas, so called by the up judge off of the Texas block and out of bounds. Did not go in, we'll stay that way. El Nade serves. Mosier back on that left side, El Nade back in the middle. Another point for the Jayhawks.
You're going to see them continue to go after Eggleston here serving-wise. They don't want to serve the other two, so they're going to try to squeeze her a little bit. Morgan O'Brien moves over a little bit to give her takes them off of it.
Give and go. Trying to go back row for El Nade, but not quite there. Gabriel into the middle. And that'll end the rally. Kansas thought off the tips we may see a challenge here. They're
going to challenge that.
Pretty convinced.
I thought in live play, I thought I saw it, but we'll see. We'll see what they see on the replay.
Well, here's one of those pivotal moments. You look at 18-17. Mosier on the swing. Thought she got tips. What'd you see on the replay?
It was hard for me to see from this angle, from this far away. So we'll see this angle. I don't know. I actually couldn't see it there.
So the initial ruling, no touch. So the point would go, if stands, the way of the Longhorns and make it 19-17. So look at that left hand.
Can I put my glasses on?
Think of Breon Butler. Does her thumb get it, is the question.
Let's see if Phillips' left hand or her right hand.
And then also further back, Yosia, potentially.
Man, that's a maybe so right there at the net.
So look at the thumb on the right hand now. See how it bends back there?
I do. You got better eyes than I do. We'll see. We'll see if the ref sees that.
Yeah,
sees
now,
what you're saying.
that was quick. I don't know. I mean, as stands on the floor, there is no touch, so it's going to have to be something conclusive enough to overturn it. But this, more so, the bigger picture, a pivotal point, as it would tie things up at 18 if overturned, but as stands, it would give the ball back to Texas with the 2-point advantage.
Yeah, that's a huge point, a huge play here, and a monster swing, I must say. She went for it. She was going high and deep on that swing. I tell you, like how hard both these teams are playing right now.
Call will stand.
That was a hard one to see. That was a hard one to see, and the refs are doing the best to make the right call.
It looked like from the one angle that the right thumb of Butler went back, but obviously not enough in the officials' eyes to overturn. So Kansas, the first bench to use their challenge. Not successful. Texas serves up 2. Into the middle, Asia O'Neal.
That's a nice set by Gabriel, getting some room, getting some space there in the middle of the court, where you see the right side blocker is about to take off and already go and head out to Logan Eggleston, left some room for that 31.
When you talk speed, you talk pressure, talk options for Texas. That's what it does to the defense.
And it's really hard, but when things are going fast and the ball is perfect, it's hard to defend everybody, right? You can't be everywhere, so they just have to either make reads or make a good play.
So Kansas with a timeout, Texas up 21-17. We'll be back here next week. Part of this Big 12 format, Texas. Coach Elliott talked about it. Hey, we get to be at home. I think it's 4 out of the next 5 weeks. So next week it'll be against Iowa State, Thursday and Friday, 7 Central, right here on LHN. Watch both live on the ESPN app as well. Texas picked 13th time in program history, 10th consecutive year as the favorite to win the Big 12. But pretty tight margin, 62 points to Baylor's 59, who they split the conference with last year. Kansas opened their season against Baylor, splitting matches. But what do you see for the Texas-Baylor matchup, which will happen here in Austin?
It will, and it's exciting. You know, you like throwing stuff back to last year. It was such a battle, and bringing pretty much everybody back. And so it's 2 high-level teams playing again in conference, and it's going to be good. It's hard to say right now. I haven't seen enough of Baylor to know how they're playing right now, but bet it's going to be a big match.
It's on November 5th and 6th, and as that fits into the bigger picture, you see the number 1 next to Texas, the number 9 next to Kansas. That is the AVCA rankings, so they are putting out rankings. There are 4 conferences playing in the fall. For the Big 12, it is a 16-match regular season, so there's 8 teams within the conference. They play each other twice. They'll get you through 16. Now, the importance of that, there will be an NCAA tournament. So everybody at home, you just got to wait a little bit. It's not going to come until late April, but the automatic qualifiers from the 4 conferences will go on. There will be 48 teams come NCAA time.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting time, like, for everybody. You know, things are strange. They were waiting to hear what was going to happen. The NCAA announced the spring, and here we are. So we'll see how it goes as we move forward in this fall season and then a spring season.
What will be really interesting, I think, as well, so 32 AQs, 48 teams, so you've cut it down in half, the at-large bids. So for conferences where you think, hey, a Big 12 where 1 gets in and maybe you get 4 or 5 teams, that's going to get trimmed down this year.
Big time. That's a big deal this year.
So Texas out of the timeout. Continues their 4-0 scoring run, trying to close out this opening set. Kansas has something to say going out to their leading attacker.
They got that ball a little bit faster to her, get her on top of the ball. Mosher was hitting some balls kind of flat, a couple of errors in a row, so they want to get her rolling.
Texas just having to send that ball back over. So the passing on the Texas side leads to another Kansas point.
And they're working that seam over there with Eggleston.
Schultz serving, goes right at Eggleston, seems to be the preferred spot to serve, but Texas, they've gone quite a few times the way of Molly Phillips. That's the 9th attempt she's had. Just her first kill, though.
Yeah, we talked about her a lot last night, too. She is just a steady player. Coach Elliott was saying how her IQ, her vision, and she can pretty much play any position right now. So, huge player for the Longhorns and a big block on the right.
Sophomore standing 6'5". You talk block. There's O'Neal and Eggleston to set up set point here in the opener.
And here's the best part about the block is how far they're pressing over the net. You watch Eggleston, she goes up and over back into the court, and that's what you want blockers to do.
Crawford with a big swing. 6'3" freshman from Lansing, Kansas.
She is good, and she is going to be really good in the future. I mean, this is a young player that last night was moving all over the court, blocking-wise, laterally. She's fast. Really impressed with what Crawford's doing.
4 kills on 10 swings last night. An important one there, but still set point for Texas. Gabriel will try Eggleston, tips. And that'll do it. We were waiting on the call, wasn't sure if there was a pancake up. But Logan Eggleston paces the way, closes out the set with her 6th kill. Texas takes the opener 25-20 here in Austin. Seven in the opening set. Texas 4 blocks to Kansas's 3. What else stood out to you in the first set?
Well, I thought Texas did a nice job handling serve receive. That's what we talked about. They maybe had 1 or 2 plays where they needed to mix things up, but they controlled the ball. They were working on serving Eggleston, going away from everybody else, and she was handling it all right. And I think she's really developed into an all-around player, and their passing is allowing them to do what they want to do.
Kansas side of the net, we saw, I hate to go back to it always, but it was that pivotal point at 17-18. It gets challenged, it does not get overturned, but what are you seeing on their side of the net that they can maybe clean up to get a breakthrough and take a set?
Well, and I tell you, sometimes it's just patience, right? So right after that play, there's an error, and then there's another error, and it's limiting your unforced errors, not hitting balls out of bounds, not missing your serves, those kind of things. If they can slow down and eliminate a lot of their unforced errors, they're going to have a lot of success. And it's in those moments where they lose 1 point and then lose 2 and 3, and that's when it gets away from them.
Well, you talk squeezing points as well. Texas 3 service aces in that opening set.
And that's a big part of what they want to do. They want to serve tough and get people out of system, either ace or get them out of system.
All 3 of those coming from Morgan O'Brien. Aggressive from Yosia with the big jump serve, but into the net. Second service error. Phillips, Butler, and Eggleston the front line for Texas. Into the middle, Leon Butler.
And Texas is looking for a double on that crazy bang-bang play, right? A crazy dig and went over the net. And they're kind of looking at the ref, but all you got to do is lay that ball up there for Butler, and she's one-on-one. Tough to stop.
Morgan O'Brien finishing off to a great serving night thus far.
That's a smart play. Crawford. Yeah, she's seeing the court. Now the ball's a little bit inside. Tight set. She just drops it right over the top of the block.
For Kansas, they go 9-17 last year. Did not qualify for the NCAA tournament the last 2 seasons. 5-11 in Big 12 play after that great run from 2012 on through 2016, culminated in that Final Four in 2015, Big 12 championship in 2016. We talked last night about what the story was: attrition, injuries, turnover on the coaching staff last year, but Ray Bouchard's been at it for a very long time. One of the best you'll hear from and be around in the business. 23 seasons at Kansas. He's got a very young team this year, but you see some building blocks.
I see some big building blocks, and I like what he's doing. He's got a great staff that knows what they're doing, excellent at scouting and training. And Coach Bouchard is one of those coaches. He's been around a long time. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to train kids, and he knows how to get the most out of his teams. And that's what you always see out of the Kansas teams.
And for a team that's young, an interesting wrinkle of this year that these players won't lose eligibility. So you get this conference year, and then whatever will happen in the spring. But for a young team, you're going to get an extra, maybe 1.5. Might feel like 2 seasons.
It's crazy. I mean, everyone's getting it back, and it's going to be interesting to see, how it goes. And program to program, it's going to look different. It's going to be different. Who stays? Who's on scholarship? It's really interesting.
Sydney Peterson with the serve for Texas. We'll try Eggleston. Block out of bounds. So quickly approaching double digits. At her 8th kill, blistering, plus 500 hitting percentage.
See something interesting here at Kansas with Zabo just kind of running across the court. She's a lefty, and they want to get her on the right side here.
It's number 8 in white, goes right to her. They were listening. Nice coach's eye right there.
That's what happens. But if she can get in a good path and get around the servicing, the passers, she can get going and get on that ball fast. And it's hard to defend a lefty over there.
Redshirt junior Aneska Zabo, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Eggleston goes for the tip. Great effort by Elnade. And on that twice to keep it alive. Where does Kansas go here? Back to her. Eggleston said no tip there. I'm gonna go with the big swing down the line to the back corner.
Like Gabriel made a little magic there. She was up in the air, kind of juked a little bit like she was going to set behind. At least I thought that's what she was doing. Held the block. Eggleston had nobody on the left.
Logan Eggleston, now an upperclassman, captain on this team. Talked a lot last night about her growth both on the court, off the court as well. We had an opportunity to speak with her last night after the match. Heard some great stuff from her in regards to not just the on-the-court play, but what she's doing as a team leader. I think a lot thrust upon these young student athletes in this environment right now, and Logan Eggleston, look no further than someone that's really taken the torch and run with it, being a leading voice for social justice, for change, and continuing to speak for what is right, being that voice for her team. Now a 6-1, 3-0 scoring run. That ended, you talked about Crawford building blocks. Quick into the middle, they have something there.
I'll tell you what, she and her setter have a fantastic connection. It's kind of like they feed off of each other right now, one another.
Joust at the net, Gabriel.
Looks like she was in the net.
She's gone up against the bigger player in 6'3" Rachel Langs.
Yep, just finished right at the end there. Caught the top of the net. She's not afraid.
Try for Skylar Fields, working on that left side.
Get another perfect pass that creates this situation of Fields being one-on-one, and she absolutely unloads on this ball. Watt there, the perfect pass. One-on-one situation for Fields.
So Texas with a 2-point advantage, already up 1-0. Gabriel back row for Eggleston, the long.
I love the speed of that ball. It's in system, it's almost like a middle attack. They run it fast. She's got to get on top of that ball just a little bit more, hit it just long, but a nice offensive play.
Speed is something that we really heard from Coach Elliott when we talked earlier this week. A lot of it has been put upon Jenna Gabriel, the setter, getting under the ball, delivering a quality ball. Obviously starts with great passing, but they feel like, hey, we can really speed up this offense with the passing that we have, but a lot rests on the shoulders of the setter to make the right decision, as she does right there.
And this ball, you'll see, is a little bit further inside the court. And this is the ball that Fields likes. One that dies kind of inside the block, and she can just keep going with it and crush that ball hard cross court. So it's different than a ball that's all the way out the pin.
Texas block, finds some real estate. Don't usually see a block fall that far into the backcourt inbounds.
But it was good. It's high hands, but she still finished, you know, so it didn't get tooled. Shape back into the court, and that's why it went in.
5th block on the evening for the burnt orange. Gabriel serving. And that tooled off the block by Aya El Nade. Talked last night. Go ahead.
She just has that rhythm where she can find it. She sees the block. The block's a little bit early, in my opinion. They're up there kind of waiting, and she hits it on the way down and just spatches right through it.
This true freshman's journey from Cairo, Egypt to Kansas. Coaches had seen some tape of her playing in international competition. Heard the wallop of the arm. Coach Bouchard said, I don't want a small hitter though, but she was standing next to a hitter that was 6'10".
6'10", so she looked like she was 5'4". and she's not.
She played as a member of the Egypt junior national team at the African Championships, participated in the 2020 Olympic qualifiers with the Egypt senior national team. That little underhand tip, scoop and score.
Scoop and score.
So just to give you an idea, Aya El Nade, you see the picture there, but then Coach Bouchard had reached out, said that El Nade was getting a lot of looks and scholarship offers from different universities and programs, but brought her into Lawrence, established a relationship, said that the fit was great, and obviously you see she's fitting right in. Off the antenna from Eggleston, but Salima, how about that for an adjustment? You adjust in this COVID year as a freshman coming over from Cairo, Egypt. Amongst everything else, you talk about social justice and the conversations they've had. Coach Bouchard said this is one of the most diverse groups that we've had, and that's brought a lot to it as well. But to be playing the way that she is too.
It's impressive. It's that international experience I think that she has that. You know, she's not afraid of Texas. She doesn't, you know, some players come over here, they don't even know who they are. So it's like she's seen blocks that size. She's seen play at that level. So I think that's why, you know, I think she's so poised and calm and unfazed.
Well, one thing you alluded to last night that we may see at the international level, that play from Breon Butler that just got Texas a kill in the last point. The overpass there, O'Neal just tips it on down. So Texas getting a couple out of the middle, different ways though.
And I tell you, it was this unbelievable dig by O'Brien, just reading the play, and it's a perfect pass. That's what creates those opportunities for repeat swings.
Gabriel looked a little in between there where she was going, if it was give and go back to O'Neal or out wide to Eggleston, so Texas not getting a swing.
Yeah, just a little miscommunication. Maybe if she was going on a 1 or on a 3, so set didn't really connect. See if they continue to go after Eggleston here, straight down the line. This is the tough serve. Gets right in the seam of Yosia and Eggleston and causes them some issues, and then Kansas block and get in a good position.
We didn't see it last night. Kansas unable to wrestle control at moments like this. Big reason results like that right there. The kill from Eggleston.
You see Zabo was pinched in, ready for the 31. She's talking to her coach right now, and she's like, my bad. And they're like, it's all good. That may have been what they told her to do. So she got burned. And they were able to set that ball all the way to the pin.
Eggleston well on her way to potentially her best match of the season. 17, 18, and 16 in the 3 played thus far. Already 11 kills in this match. Kansas had cut it to 1, but Texas responds with a couple of points. They lead by see if they can make it 3-0 against TCU tomorrow. Big difference we've seen thus far for Kansas. Jenny Mosier, she led the way attacking wise, but the number's a huge difference so far tonight.
Definitely a big difference right now, what I'm seeing. You know, and it's tough. Again, she's given so many opportunities to attack the ball.
Asia O'Neal with the block. Texas now 6 blocks. So there's the difference.
That's a big difference. So last night having a lot of success, even though she has a ton of swings, but right now it's more unforced errors. I think she's trying really hard to avoid the block. And by sometimes when you're trying to avoid it, you miss it, then you start hitting out and making some errors. There's also a little bit of timing issues with the setter, where it's not really in rhythm and she's not perfectly, in sync with every single ball. So they need to kind of steady that out as well.
Yeah, 21 swings for Mosier, 5 errors on the evening. And you talk avoiding the block. That was something that Logan Eggleston did not do on that last sequence. She went right after it. And Eggleston, safe to say, maybe thus far the best match she has played of the season, when she's played some really good matches already.
She's played some fantastic matches. It's hard to even compare them because she's been hitting for a high percentage. She's the kill leader. She's, so I think right now she's probably in a position, I think you're right, one of her better matches, and all around one of her better matches as well.
Yeah, she had 18 against Oklahoma, but off to a great start here halfway through the second set, and a big piece of what Texas is trying to do this season, coming off 23-4 campaign last year, number 3 recruiting class. They lose Micaiah White, but you got Fields, Butler, Eggleston back as well, and some of those key pieces. I think one piece that at least I've seen that is going to be such a huge steadying influence, Morgan O'Brien.
Oh, I mean, it's such a fortunate situation coming to Texas, and how she kind of fell into their lap, really, transferring here. Well, not really transferring, just coming here to go to school and ending up on the team. You can talk a little bit more about that whole situation.
Yeah, the coaching staff had gotten wind that she was in grad school at Texas, had really just picked the University of Texas for academics, but had entered into the portal. Coach Elliott reached out, talked to the staff at Illinois, where she had been previously and had semifinal, Final Four experience, but clicked with the team immediately, said she's easygoing, mild manner, goes after everything though, and it's hard to pull her back, but has really provided for a team that doesn't have a ton of upperclassmen experience. Lots of leadership, and obviously that pedigree, having played on a team that's been deep.
Well, and it's huge to bring that kind of experience to a youthful team. I mean, this isn't an old team. This is a young team, and then when they come back, they're going to be, the next year. But having her be able to kind of steady out and anchor the back row right now, and elevate the play of all the back row players. They're all good right now, and that's a result of her coming in and making some noise.
Yeah, you talk about the trickle-down effect. We mentioned it last night, but Sydney Peterson starts every match at the libero position, but now you have the luxury of moving her in. How big is that for your rotations, your depth, what you're trying to do?
Well, it's really nice. It's tough for Sydney Peterson, but she's, Coach Elliott said she's really embraced it and said, hey, look, this is about the team, and I want to contribute and be the best that I can, but it's huge for them. They have people that can come in, spell the outside hitters, the right side hitters, and keep a consistent back row, which Texas needs, and they need to be great. And
obviously we've seen thus far for Peterson, tons of playing time still out there. They're going to rely on her to be that passing force she has always been. Texas sailed one on the service air. So much as we have seen across the now 5 sets played in these 2 nights, Kansas gets it close, Texas keeps it at just a little bit of distance.
Yep.
Ashley Shook, you talk veteran leadership, the senior. First set we've seen any action from her across these 2 matches, and you love it when it works out that way. We're talking about you, the ball finds you.
See her come in and make a smart play. It's really nice to see Ashley Shook on the court. She has been just probably the consummate teammate over the last few years. Supportive, helping Jenna Gabriel in any way possible while she's been playing on the court.
Yeah, with Shook that had held down the setter position, but then Jenna Gabriel coming in and now the full-time setter. But talk about that willingness to find your role within the team and still contribute with a positive attitude.
Well, that's what feeds into team chemistry. That's the name of the game. You have anyone that's just bitter, it's not going to work. And if they all work together for the common good, it's a great team.
I loved what Coach Elliott said, and I'd like to hear your opinion more on this. He said usually with groups, you spend 80 to 90% of your time on 10% of your players. You've been there. How challenging is that?
That is 100% true. If we're talking percentages, it's true. And that can be exhausting when you're trying to focus on other things and get some work done, and you've got a few players that have issues and need help and cause problems. It could be exhausting. So it's nice when you have an entire team that's on the same page.
He said that the flip side of that, and what he sees with this group, everybody gets along, and that the fear is that you get a little bit too comfortable. So it's riding that delicate balance that you've been around, you've been a part of, to try to like one another but still keep your edge. Very hard to do.
It is, and you know, sometimes you don't want to hurt each other's feelings. You're not sure what to say, but you'll see. Leaders will emerge, and they know what it takes. And if the team's on the same page, they can do that.
Well, you talk leadership for Texas. It was Logan Eggleston that came back after Texas, I think surprisingly for most, but a testament to Louisville. They lose in the third round. They lose at home. Season ended early. It's the last run for Micaiah White, but Eggleston came to Coach Elliott and said, now, as a captain, as a leader, we can never have that happen again in my time here.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you want in a leader, and that's what happens as they mature and they understand what it takes and what it means.
Texas up 5, 3 points away as the pancake comes up from Nielsen. Phillips through on the right side. Saw her get plenty of opportunities in the opening set. That's the 11th time they've gone her way. Second kill for Molly Phillips. Yosia serving. Reaction from Butler there, kind of looked like she felt like one got away.
Yep, she had it with her hand. And that's the thing, you have to press. You have to drop that left hand right into the seam. She knows that, and it got just skipped off the inside of her hand. She knows she had an opportunity there.
That's just the 4th kill for Jenny Mosier. Would not think at this juncture, almost at the end of the second set, that she would be that quiet, but you broke down what the difference has been. Some unforced, some staying away from the block. But if Kansas can find a way to get her going, they will need to.
They're going to need to.
Try to get back into this one. Gabriel Eggleston, El Nade there.
A nice dig by El Nade, and set that was pretty much unhittable, and then Mosher makes a mistake.
So O'Brien, chance to close it out, make it 2-0. Whetstone with the swing, another one of those freshmen, but goes into the right side to end the second set that Texas takes 25-19. Talked a lot about social justice.
Watching all these young players use their voice. It's a platform, it's an opportunity for them to express their creativity and something what they want to do to tell the world that it's about equality, you know, and I think it's neat to see someone like Skylar Fields use her creativity and create a poem like this in a time like this.
It's a lot about amplifying voices. We heard it last night, and these student athletes have talked a lot about we're more than just student athletes, but now given this platform and focusing the conversation on not just the volleyball, but all those other things as well. It's been great to be a part of. Got to see it last night with Logan Eggleston, talking to her after the match as well, and then Skylar Fields and the poem that we saw just there.
So many schools are doing this. So many athletes are speaking out, and you're seeing it on social media. You're seeing it at the matches. You're seeing them wearing the patches, equality, and it's pretty neat to see the whole volleyball world come together.
And it's a conversation we'll continue to have throughout, not just this season, but moving forward throughout, not just when we're talking about and watching volleyball as well. So one of the action items too, voting. This whole team registered to vote, so you talk about what they've said, what they want to do moving forward, voting on November 4th. We talk about what we've seen on the floor thus far. Texas 2-0 in the match. Logan Eggleston, arguably her best match of the season.
I mean, she's doing it all right now. She's leading this team, carrying them, and providing the kills that they always need, but also passing the ball well and anchoring the block right now. So it's Logan Eggleston that, as a captain, is leading the charge and helping her team with this win tonight.
Logan Eggleston, 12 kills, 281 hitting percentage. Texas hitting 263 as a team. Big reason the 1-2 punch with Skylar Fields.
And Skylar is having a fantastic night. She's actually heated up as the match has gotten longer and longer. She has gotten better and better. They're running the ball a little bit inside the court for her so she can get a faster swing and get on top of that ball. She is absolutely crushing it right now.
So 20 of Texas's 31 kills from Eggleston and Fields. Fields is hitting 533. Texas block 6 on the evening for Kansas. They have 4 blocks. El Nade is leading their attack with 5 kills. Talked about Jenny Mosier. She is their leading attacker. Expect to see the ball going her way a lot. It has gone that way 25 times, but just 4 kills, 6 airs. She is hitting negative. So when you talk about adjustments, Salima, we came on the air. What were teams going to adjust from match 1 last night? Texas has found a way to give fits to Jenny Mosier.
Well, and that's it. They're putting a big block in front of her. They're putting the defense right where she's swinging at the ball, and it's hard for her to find the floor right now. And for them to rely on her so much, and for her to get so many swings, it's crucial that she plays at a high level and is able to generate some kills.
What we saw last night, really a lot like this. Texas was in control first 2 sets, and they opened up a big advantage in the third. Kansas came back, so we've seen resiliency plenty from the Jayhawks, just unable to quite break through. So we'll keep an eye. Can they steal a set, push it to a 4th, or can Texas ride the momentum and shut the door? Dropped just 1 set on the season, albeit this their 4th match, but the one against Oklahoma. There was a ton of room on that left side for O'Neal.
A lot of room. And that's something they work on a lot, not just swinging blindly and maybe hitting the net or whatever, just pressing that ball at an angle where no one is.
Mosier still trying to find that range. The Texas block, you had pointed it out. She's trying to avoid it. Is that what we saw there?
She's trying to avoid it or hit high hands, which she needs to do. You know, and sometimes when you're aiming for the top of the hands, you're gonna miss long. So she's working on not hitting directly into the belly of the block, but it's having a hard time finding the court.
And boy, is Asia O'Neal controlling the middle of the floor.
And that's a fantastic read by her, just seeing the setter, hanging tight, and watching the setter do what she needs to do. So that's what Texas needs to do to win this game.
To none. We look at what the impact players have done. El Nade, the true freshman, 5 kills, 7 digs as well. And Skylar Fields, 8 kills, but that big goose egg in the air is calm. You love to see it.
I mean, she's hitting 533 right now, so having a phenomenal match. And both of them are. They're playing as well as they can. You know, El Nade doing what she can for this team.
To make it 6-0 out of the timeout. And of note for Kansas, this is their first time on the road. In this new format, in this unique season, Coach Bouchard had talked about, hey, this is our first time getting on a plane. They flew commercial as well on Wednesday prior to coming down here. So doing the best that they can within the environment to come down and play 2 matches. That'll put Kansas on the board. Kim Whetstone.
Like they've been trying to run that double quick here and there. You see the middle run something quick in front, and then the right side run something quick behind. They haven't really had a ton of success with it, but I like that. I like that play.
We talk building blocks for Kansas. We saw Whetstone a couple really good moments last night. We saw her come in later in the match in this one, but she's a true freshman. Caroline Crawford, the middle blocker you've talked about, true freshman as well. And then El Nade, who we've talked about too. Phillips.
Phyllis has been pretty quiet, you know, just struggled a little bit, trying to find the floor, getting kills right now, but they just have to find a rhythm with her and find that perfect ball. So she finally snuck one through there.
I think staying on the Kansas side to button that up, you looked at me and we've talked about setting position. That's really where they're going to have to decide. Does any coach prefer to have to go to a 6-2?
Some do. Some actually do, and it just depends on your personnel. Right? If you have the arms, if you have enough people that can absolutely bang it from every position, and 2 really good setters, yeah, you might take a look at that. I mean, a lot of programs have tried it in the past. You don't always see it. Sometimes they flip to it. Sometimes they're in and out of it.
You'd expected to see such from Kansas. It's Elsie McGee at the setting position right now, number 12. Freshman as well. So the one great thing you are going to get is some continuity in this shortened season. The ability to play together, grow together for a young team.
No, it's true, and just figuring each other out. You know, it's huge playing next to one another. You trust each other. You know who's going to go for what ball, how to set one another.
So you heard Texas Coach's Challenge coming in.
I think it was on the block.
So I believe the challenge is if there was 4 hits to the ball, at least what we've been told thus far, 1, 2, 3. So it couldn't be that. One thing we did talk about last night, worth mentioning again, within the challenge structure, that now the officials have the ability to review the whole sequence. So a coach can say, hey, I'm challenging this, but within the review, that if the official sees anything else, that can be used to determine and flip the outcome of what the challenge is.
Yeah, really it's just kind of packaging all the calls, all the challenges, well, not all of them, but most of them, all at once. So it's the touch, it's in out, or it's an up down. So if they see any of it,
so still waiting on clarification as to what the call was, what is being challenged. So when we get that information relayed over to us, we will obviously relay it to you. This is the play and potentially what could be looked at. But I think we did, you know, once the challenge system was instituted, that we saw a lot of coaches, and you saw that either the instance of using it as a kind of timeout,
oh yeah,
or also where you could challenge, and we saw things throughout long sequences where it was like, well, why didn't the ref get that? Did you see that there? There was contact in the net. in years past, that couldn't be used to get the call right, and that's what they're trying to hone down on. Just get the call right.
Right, that's exactly it. And every time the rules change, everyone questions it. Or the challenges change. They wonder what's going on and why, and that's usually why. The bottom line is getting the right call and what's the best way to do it the most.
So the point did go the way of Kansas, obviously why Texas would be challenging. And still not 100% certain as to what they were looking at, but it was confirmed that the point goes the way of Kansas.
There you go. No arguments on the other side.
So the first challenge we've seen from the Texas side. Nielsen serving. Her team trailing 2 sets and down 5 points here in the third. Make it 6. Eggleston, kill number 13.
That is just a big swing, high over the top and through the block.
Mentioned for Eggleston, moving into that leadership role, but more responsibilities off the court, head of student council. She's really involved in the Black Lives Matter movement and social justice, leading that conversation amongst the student athletes and on campus. Said that confidence is at sky-high levels right now, did Coach Elliott. Texas continuing to hit on all cylinders. Top of the show, we showed the blocks, get some more defense there.
And again, it's them timing it perfectly and pressing over into the court. That's what he wants them to do. Finish with their hands, so this is a stuff block, not just a touch.
Those are your favorite as a defender, right?
Yeah, it's fun. Blocking balls is fun.
Kansas goes into the middle and taken off the tips, Caroline Crawford.
She just kind of hit that ball a little bit flat, looks a little frustrated right now. And that's what Kansas needs to kind of keep it under control and not have any frustrated swings or keep their composure.
So good response for the Jayhawks, trying to keep it within striking distance.
And it starts really with this huge dig by the libero, and they can transition out of the back row. That's exactly what they want to have happen. And they need these quality touches to be able to transition and score.
Peterson will try for Fields on the tip. That rally ends with a Breon Butler stuff block.
And Butler is just focused. She's focused on the middle. That ball is perfect. She gets in front. That's called fronting that middle attacker, and she gets right in front of her and full commit block on a perfect pass.
Reigning Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. May have some competition for that award. Asia O'Neal has 6 blocks in this match, so Texas getting some really good defensive production from their middles. Something they've been able to hang their hat on for many years going back defensively. We've talked about one of the best blocking teams in the Big 12 in the country as well. Looks like it'll be that way this season too.
Man. They're just going to keep it going.
They make me look like I know what I'm talking about. Skylar Fields there, biggest lead of the night, for Kansas to take us to the juncture in the third set.
I mean, I love what they're doing, not just reading the play, but with their hands and pressing back into the court. And that's, again, what Coach Elliott talked about they need to do to be successful. It's not just deflecting balls, even though they had some really good touches off the block, but it's terminating with your hands. Just like you see there with Butler.
10 blocks for Texas. 4 for Breon Butler, mentioned the 6 for Asia O'Neal, 4 for Skylar Fields as well. It's Texas cruising, 3-0 scoring run. With the other fall sport, talked about football tomorrow, volleyball taking place tonight. Soccer will be back in action in Austin against Kansas State next Friday, 5 o'clock. That'll take you right into the second of the back-to-back for us next week against Iowa State, volleyball-wise. So the 3 fall sports. So much work has been done, so a big shout out to all the administrators, all the personnel working at the facilities within these teams, everybody doing their best to try to make sure that we can play, but most importantly, play safely to have this fall 2020 season. Mentioned there's 4 conferences playing, other conferences choosing not. All of these players, I think if you would ask, they would say, we love the fact that we're getting to play.
Yeah.
But it's continuing to be able to do it safely. And thus far, what we've seen, it's great to be here.
It is, it's great to be here, that's for sure.
See, Texas, those numbers may continue to hold across the course of this conference-only season.
Those are big numbers right there. Having 3.5 blocks a set.
Kansas hitting just .034. They're hitting negative in this third set. And be interesting, we'll probably get an opportunity to talk with Coach Elliott. He had talked last night about in that third set. Felt like Texas let off the gas a little bit. That has not been the case in this third set tonight.
We certainly haven't seen it. They're staying focused, they're staying locked in. Serving tough, getting Kansas a little bit out of system and able to execute with their block.
Back row from Eggleston. Finds the corner.
And again, it's just such a nice, it's a luxury to have someone out of the back row that can hit from different areas of the court. And when the setter's running forward, you can just kind of jack it back there and she's available and ready to hit.
Talking big picture wise in leadership for Eggleston, I think in our years watching her now as a junior, it seems like the most vocal she is after points and what she's at with her energy. Feels like she's really embracing that role.
I would agree 100%. You can see it. You can just see it in the way she plays. Just more confidence on the court, moving different.
I think there's just a natural deference, especially when you're playing with someone like Micaiah White, who she was playing with, that upperclassman. Whose team is it going to be? Leadership naturally, like you said, evolves, but something that we're getting to watch and continue to get to watch across the course of this season with Eggleston. Texas 5 blocks on the set. 11 total. Elsie McGee to serve.
That's a great serve by McGee, forcing that overpass.
And Kansas put together a couple sequence points to put some pressure on Texas. That won't do it. Double contact on their side.
Coach Richard's up, wondering if that first contact was a block. Talking to the down ref about it.
We'll send Mosier over to get some clarification.
So the ref calls a double, 2 contacts. They're looking for that first contact to be a blocking motion. Looks like that's not going to be the case.
Texas will send Nalani Yosia back to serve.
See if she can rip off this jump serve.
That was a back row swing from Mosier.
And again, just like on the Texas side, nice to have her out of the back row. When the pass isn't perfect, Kansas can run Mosier out of the back row, and she can score.
Mosier does have a team high 6 kills, but based on the 30 swings that she has and the 7 errors, that's the difference from what we've seen in tonight's match versus last night. 2 of the sets going 25-23. So not quite as close, but Kansas still fighting Texas. Out of sequence a little bit the last handful of points. Texas scrambles. You talk about squeezing points. Did they squeeze a point there?
Well, kind of, I guess. Not exactly what I meant, but sure.
Yeah. It's not, you don't always draw it up clean, right? So that stops the mini scoring run from the Jayhawks. That a lot more in sequence in line with what we've seen this evening.
Yeah. So a nice tip over the top of the block. Again, they're catching Kansas on their heels a little bit, being smart with their game.
Yeah, I think 2 points ago when I saw Eggleston on that pass, she just kind of froze like, oops.
Yep.
Langs gets matched up one-on-one on the right side. The junior from Fairview, Texas, Pat Eggleston, wins that battle. It's her 5th kill of the match. Kansas working that right side.
Whetstone finding some room there right between the block and the antenna. I'll tell you what, this Kansas team, a lot of young players. I know we've said it before, but a lot of young, good players, and they're gonna be good for a few years here.
Send the free ball over. Gabriel. Both teams scrambling. Maybe some heavy legs?
Maybe some heavy, that's one thing we didn't really talk about, this whole back-to-back thing. Even just playing the same team in the same weekend is different, but playing back-to-back every weekend is a lot different, especially when they're training and they've had a lot of time to train. They want to save legs and save jumps, and all of a sudden you're coming in going full steam back-to-back nights. It's hard, it's taxing.
Coach Elliott said that they, in fact, developed a completely different plan for the team with that back-to-back format, how they approach it throughout the week, Tuesday what they do, on to Wednesday, into the play on Thursday. So completely different approach that they've adjusted.
And you have to find adjustments, right? This is that time. You said it in the open. We talked about it over and over again. How are we going to adjust? And being smart with your bodies, being smart with what's put in front of you, right? So that's what they have to do. And figure it out as the season goes on, is how to stay healthy.
Said he likes the fact that they don't have to travel sometimes once a week, and that can get a little taxing. Travel can be long. They do have their one longest road trip already out of the way. They went up to Norman, said it was a 6-hour bus ride. They didn't fly. It was brutal, is what his words were. But 3 of these weeks that they will be home, counting this one, don't have to go on the road again until after next week. So chance to really settle in here in Austin, get some good work in. And you've been a part of it as a player, as a coach. How important is routine?
Oh, routine is almost everything. Like just knowing where you're sleeping in your own bed, having that same schedule just gets you mentally in a good place. And being out of whack, traveling, everything's different, is a whole new ball game. So it's a huge advantage that they get to play home so many weekends in this month.
And one thing different for all of these programs too, with routine, all of us have been spending a lot of time at home. Talk for Kansas, this is the first time that they've been on the road, so adjusting to that and not sleeping in your own bed, being in a hotel, being around different people, being around crowds.
Absolutely, changes everything.
So Texas full control of this third set, 2 points away. Saw this substitution last night. Riley Heinrich came in to get some serving work. So a chance to try to end it and make it a perfect weekend. Perfect 4-0 for the Texas Longhorns. Ashley Shook in as well at the setter position. So Texas going to their bench.
Server for Kansas, number 9, Trevor Crawford.
Shook to Butler, Butler on the slide. That's another weapon she's been working on. Executed to perfection there. Match point for the Longhorns. Number 3, Carly Schmidt. Another one of those freshmen. They're going to be freshmen next fall. So when we see Kansas next fall, we're going to say a freshman, that big freshman class. They're going to have their whole team could be freshmen. But a lot of young, I think if you look at what are the big takeaways for Kansas on this weekend, and us getting to see them, they have a lot of youth, but they have some good building blocks.
They do. Absolutely do.
Texas, though, boy, do they have a lot of firepower. Longhorns, the difference last night, they were really sharp in that third set, kept the pedal to the metal, closed it out, did not drop a set here at home.
And that was the biggest thing. They didn't give up runs, stayed in control, kept their composure through the entire match, and kept the pressure on, foot on the gas, and that's what they needed to do.
So Longhorns get their home openers, move to 4-0 on the season. We'll be back in just a moment.